Hi, I'm Grace Judson, and I'm posting this on April Fool's Day, so happy April Fools. And speaking of which, have you ever tried to play a prank on someone, whether at work or at home, and had it go really wrong? Or maybe it went really right, it all worked out okay, but I have to say that in my experience, that's kind of rare. And that's because different people have different ideas about what's funny. One person's harmless prank is another person's hurt feelings or maybe even serious offense, right? And when that happens, it really doesn't matter one iota that you didn't mean to upset them. So playing pranks, whether for April Fool's Day or any other day, is risky. And on top of that, right now, in the middle of shelter in place, stay at home, suddenly having to work and manage your team from home along with your kids because they're out of school because of this pandemic issue, everyone is stressed out and touchy. So playing pranks on people is even less of a good idea. But a little humor is good for everyone's spirits, right? And here we are. It is April Fool's Day when I'm publishing this. So, what can you do that will be fun for you, fun for your team, and just lighten things up a little bit? And I've got a sort of off the wall idea for you that I'm going to give you at the end of the video. So, hang in with me while I go through some ideas about what you can do that's fun, because I think you'll like that idea. We'll see. We'll see. You can let me know. So, this question about what you can do, it's a great question. And I will be honest, I have floundered a bit in trying to figure out some good answers. I keep coming back to this fact that different people find different things funny. There are things that my friends think are funny that I just flat out do not get. And on the flip side, I once mentioned a book to a friend of mine. He had read it. I thought it was funny. He thought I was nuts. So, which leads to this: why not ask each other? Ask your team to share what's the funniest thing you ever experienced. Was it a movie, a TV show, or a specific episode of a show, something you saw online, a book, something that happened to them personally? The benefit of this, there are a couple of benefits. First off, you're going to learn something about your team members. And whenever you can learn something about your team as individuals, that's a good thing because it will help you communicate better with them. And when you know what's funny for them, you can help them lighten their spirits in times of stress, right? Secondly, you might discover something funny that you didn't know about, whether it's a book or a movie or whatever, and now you've got something new that you can explore. So, my next idea, you may like it or you may not. Is there anyone on your team who just loves puns? My dentist, of all people, adores puns, and his Facebook posts are often groan worthy, which means they're also kind of funny. If you have someone on your team who's a punster, ask them to share their, should it be best or worst examples. Because even if people hate puns, they're generally basically harmless. They're not likely to hurt anyone's feelings. They're not likely to make anyone feel stupid. And those are the worst outcomes of pranking people, right? So, as you have probably noticed, finding things that everyone thinks are funny is almost impossible. Even when the entire team is giggling, there's that one person who isn't, right? It turns out that even psychologists researching humor have a hard time defining what makes something funny. And even actors and writers who work with comedy for a living can't always explain it. The actor Alan Alda, you will undoubtedly recognize the name, starred in the immensely successful comedy series MASH, and of course in many other things. He has a podcast on communication. I highly recommend it. I'll leave the link down below in the video description here. He interviewed the comedian and writer Conan O'Brien on an episode of that podcast. And I don't remember everything that they had to say, but he never could come up with a real definition of what makes something funny. And ultimately, this is why we need to be careful about the jokes we make and the pranks we play. Because, look, obviously, racist, sexist, and other types of put down humor are never appropriate. But even when we put those aside, we still need to remember that what's funny to one person could be at best not so funny to someone else, and at worst hurtful or offensive in some way. But okay, I'm going to flip the coin over yet again. That said, it is fun to explore humor. Learning what your employees and coworkers think is funny means you know how to lighten the mood, and these days especially, that's a good thing. Now, I promised you one last idea, sort of out of the box idea, and here it is. Why not for April Fool's Day today, or really any other day, but specifically, what kind of an interesting Fool's prank might it be to do something nice for someone? It doesn't have to be a big thing, it could just be a little thing. Just do something nice instead of playing jokes on people. And you could do something nice for me. If you liked this video, please let me know by clicking the thumbs up button, subscribe, share it with your colleagues. And hey, if you do decide to do something nice, or if you have something funny that you would like to share with us, I'd love to know. Comment below to let me know, whatever that might be. And in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and be well.